Hello, beautiful peaches. Welcome to the Macros, Metabolism, and Motivation Beautiful Peach podcast. I'm your host, Caitlen, a reverse diet expert, sustainable fat loss nerd, and food freedom lover. After healing my own mind, body, and metabolism from the icky, restrict, binge food guilt cycles, I became obsessed with helping other women do the same. I spent 6 years getting my bachelor's and master's degrees in all things nutrition, dietetics, and metabolism health, go Clemson Tigers, in order to start a science-backed, never cookie-cutter, always customized online macro and reverse diet coaching business. I have supported over 3,500 incredible women in their journey to endless results, and I am so excited to help you do the same. In this podcast, I will be teaching you how to break up with the yo-yo diet cycles, tips and tricks to heal your metabolism through reverse dieting. I will be giving away my sustainable weight loss secrets, all without you having to give up a single food you love. So if you're ready to rediscover that self-love and truly become the most confident, beautiful peach possible, grab a pen and a piece of paper, bump up your volume just a little, and let's dive right in. And don't forget to snag your completely free high-protein macro cookbook. All you need to do is submit a quality 5-star rate and review on this podcast, then fill out the form in the show notes so I know exactly where to send your cookbook. This will actually also automatically enter you into the weekly macro calculator giveaway. Every week, I give away a copy of my C. Schmidt macro calculator to one lovely, beautiful peach who has left an awesome 5-star rate and review on this podcast. The winner is announced every single week in my email newsletter email list, as well as my Instagram story. You can't miss it. So leave that 5-star rate and review, and I will see you in the episode. What is up, beautiful peach? Today, we are going to be talking all about ending the weekend start over cycle. I initially actually started with this episode with 3 tips, basically 3 steps to help you end the start over cycle, and I got carried away and I have 4 tips for you. I personally lived in start over cycle for years on end. Every single Monday, I would feel so incredibly bummed out because I felt that I had let myself get off track, whether that was eating a bad food, which would lead me into the full on free for all thinking, hey, all right, I'm already off track. I might as well just keep going. The binge happens. And I said, all right, I'll just start over again on Monday. That would repeat quite literally every single weekend. And it's so hard because you go through that weekend and you're like, shoot, I'm just going to start over again on Monday. And the next weekend rolls around. You're right on back in those situations that you previously got off track because of. And you're like, shoot, it's happening again. Okay, I'll just start over again next Monday. And it literally will repeat until, I've got some steps for you to help you stop it repeating, but it will just repeat again and again and again until you actually take that action to stop it, okay? The other thought that I used to have all the time was, I do not have enough willpower to stay away from certain foods, from certain social events, from this or that. And I could talk so much about willpower, but I do actually have a specific episode if you are somebody who really struggles with that thought process of not having enough willpower. So listen to this episode. Go ahead and finish this episode and then pop back to episode 99. Your willpower won't help you lose weight. This is one of my all-time favorite episodes because I think so many people really do feel that willpower is their issue, and they feel that not having enough willpower is what's holding them back. And I couldn't disagree more. So go listen to that episode after this one. Now, I started over, right, for years on end. I had the all or nothing mentality. I really was in this place where I had a lack of self-trust. I had a lack of self-worth. I thought that I was a failure. I couldn't understand why everybody else was seeing results and I wasn't. And I do next week actually have a really good episode. I'm actually going to record it right after this one, but it's a really, 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 really good episode. The notes are done. All about ending and breaking that all or nothing mentality, because it is it's a place that I was in for so incredibly long. I have some extremely good thoughts here. These episodes, everything that I share, all of my podcast episodes are things that I have personally gone through, personally experienced, which I think is something really nice for me as a coach, because I understand what my clients are going through. I understand what you are going through because I have been in your shoes in the past. And also I am now on the other side. I have been for 10 years. And also I have the actual education. I spent over 6 years getting my bachelor's degree in nutrition and dietetics, my master's in exercise science and sports nutrition, really learning about diet mentality, about our metabolism, about healing our relationship with food, literally learning, taking classes and doing projects and doing so many different things. And it makes it really fun for me to work with my clients because I know how to support you at a really, really, really high level. And it makes me excited. So next week, I will be talking about the all or nothing mentality. If you are not following my podcast, I actually recently learned this. Somebody reached out to me and they were like, hey, I haven't been actually following. I'm just like looking it up every week. And I'm like, oh, okay. And she's like, she told me, she was like, please put this on your podcast. And in case anybody else doesn't know this. And I'm like, well, you just taught me this. So that's great. If you want to make sure that you are not missing out on my podcast and you are listening to it on like Spotify or Apple Podcast, you can, I know specifically for Apple Podcast, on the top right of the app, there's a little plus sign and it says follow. You can click that. Otherwise, I think there's like 3 dots. You can click that and it'll bring a drop down and you just click follow. The other option is to hop onto my newsletter email list. I always share when there is a new episode. I'm very, very cognizant about not like bombarding you with too many emails or anything like that. But it's more of, I want to make sure you know when things are happening. The people on my email list are normally the first to know really about anything. So those are the 2 ways to make sure that you are staying in touch. So back to our thoughts here. I was in this place for a very, very long time. And I think for many women, they have been in this cycle for a few months, for others, a few years, for many, most of their life. I have clients who come to me who have been in this start over cycle literally since they were a kid, remembering doing diets with their own mom, remember doing, some sort of workout in their basement as a kid, starting some, restrictive diet literally as a child. And what's really cool too is I work with a lot of moms. I work with a lot of women and a lot of moms as well who want to be better for themselves so they can be better for their children. And I'm like, that just like makes my heart so happy. Like you want to be better to support your future children or your current children, or to, support those around you and to be that role model for those around you. I have women who want to be better for their family, for their husband, for their wife, for their, mom, for their dad. And it's really, really wonderful. So without further ado, we are getting very detailed here. I want to dive into this episode. So without further ado, let's get into podcast episode. I don't know what number we are on. I think 140, but 3 steps to end the weekend start over cycle. Okay, my beautiful peach, let's dive into the 3 realistic and sustainable ways, okay, to end the weekend start over cycles. The first one is so incredibly often overlooked, but it is so incredibly important. I want to actually identify the triggers that are creating the patterns of the start over cycle. For example, and I need to go to my notes for this one because I have a couple examples here. And I think, and we'll get into this a little bit more, but I think so many people think, oh, well, it's just the social setting. I am just going to not go out to eat anymore. Oh, it is the bad food. I will just not eat the bad food anymore. And that's not what I mean, okay? Say, for example, you find yourself getting off track when you are in social settings over the weekend, okay? And usually you're not as social during the week. I could be very, very wrong there, but a lot of times we are kind of in our own routine. We're working. We're not quite as social as we are over the weekend. We just go to work. We have our home routine, etc. That's me for sure. But then the weekend rolls around and that is your time to hang out with friends, to adventure. You are doing more social settings. So you can actually pinpoint the weekends are where you find yourself getting off track. And from here, so we have our weekends, right? Generally, okay, great, you're getting off track on the weekends. We have that timeline, more or less, right? Kind of set in stone there. And then we can go deeper, right? Like, so traveling, I can say traveling on vacation, over the holidays, et cetera, et cetera. But right now I want to focus on weekends because what I'm going to walk through for the weekends can actually also be applied to all of those other life events, okay? So generally, weekends, we are finding ourselves getting off track. So now we get to take it a step further and pinpoint specifically where you find yourself getting off track in the weekend, okay? So it is now we can pinpoint, oh, I am going out to dinner with my friends and I am finding myself wanting to eat something that's a bad food or that is not in, I don't know how to track something with no nutrition label, right? And so we now know, okay, we're pinpointing, okay? So at this point, my notes are a little bit weird. The way that I have them written, I'm like reading this, I'm like, this is where I'm like, I'm just gonna go off track for my notes. I know what I'm trying to say here, but the way that I have it written is so, I think it's one of those moments where I'm like, yeah, I'm sure I'll understand what I'm trying to, what I want to talk about when I actually come to record the podcast episode. And now that I'm recording, I'm like, what am I trying to get at here? Okay, so I think what I was actually trying to get at is generally, right, we know we get off track on weekends, take it a step further and figure out what it is on the weekend that's getting you off track. So say, for example, eating out, going out to dinner with your friends. Okay, cool. Now let's get a little bit deeper here. Why is eating out an issue? Oh, because there's bad food that you want to eat and you feel like you can't eat that food without getting off track, without binge eating. I think that's what I was trying to go for in my notes, but I have it written so strangely. But that's what I want you to do. I really want you to take it from step one. Okay, so where are you getting off track? Great, weekends, awesome. Okay, so why are you getting off track? Because you're going out to eat. Okay, what specifically when you are going out to eat is the actual problem? What is that main trigger there? Okay, well, it's the bad food that you're eating. Okay, so you can really zone in. I don't want you to say just the weekend. I want you to figure out why and what on the weekend is causing that trigger, okay? Because if you know that we can really zone in and we know that it is the bad food specifically that is causing the issue, then we can really work on that, okay? So, and if this is you, I have 3 different examples actually to give you. And if this is you specifically who is struggling with eating the bad food on the weekend and the bad food is your problem, then you know, and this was me 110% back when I was really struggling with the cycle. I had basically like a mental list of good food and bad food. And if I ate a bad food, immediately have guilt. Immediately I'm off track. Immediately all or nothing mentality, right? Like immediately I'm just going to go completely haywire for the weekend and start over on Monday. And what really, quite literally helped me have a full on 180 in my relationship with food was actually tracking my macros. And I will say, I really highly suggest working with a coach or accountability partner, whether that is me, hey, it's me, this is what I do for a living, or somebody else, but who can specifically help you heal your relationship with food. I personally, for all of my clients, we use macros because I know 110%, 1,000% that when you are tracking your macros, you will be on track if they are the correct macros, which is why it is so important not to use apps like MyFitnessPal or anything like that to calculate them. I have a very specific way to calculate your macros, but it will help you literally hit quite literally any goal that you want, whether that's fat loss, reverse diet, metabolism health, muscle growth, body recomp. If you want to gain weight, macros will help you get there, okay? I want to interrupt this so lovely podcast episode of mine to let you know that my 6-week program to help you end the start over cycles is officially live. This is the most effective, sustainable, and fun path to ending those gosh darn start over cycles that are caused by the weekends, the social outings, the holidays, and travel. I want you to think, how many times have you painstakingly uttered the words to yourself, I will just start over again on Monday, or even turned down the sushi night with the girls, but finally giving in saying, screw it, I'm just going to restart tomorrow? What about the time, and honestly the mental space, wasted trying to avoid the buffet table at the wedding or even holiday dinner, or saying no to the ice cream cone with your kids in fear of getting off track? If you resonate with the frustration that comes from getting off track leading to those start over cycles, this 6-week challenge is for you. At this point in your weight loss and metabolism health journey, you feel you have earned the right to say yes to happy hour with the girls or that slice of frosted champagne cake at your friend's wedding without those intrusive, oh snap, am I gonna have to work this off in the morning thoughts? Imagine finally being on track with your fat loss, metabolism health, or muscle growth goals in just 6 weeks. Enrollment is only going to be open for 1 week, so make sure to take a little peruse around all the details and enroll via the link down below in my show notes labeled 6-Week Challenge. Cannot wait to see you inside. And don't forget, if you have any questions, go ahead and send me a message on Instagram. I am always happy to help. Second part of this, of why macros are so important, is it can actually help you start healing your relationship with food and to actually eat the food that you love on the weekend and also during the week. Because the cool thing is, if we are understanding that our macros are going to help us get to where we need to go, and real quick note here, if you are somebody who has been tracking your macros, but you're really struggling to actually hit them, listen to the previous episode. I have 3 really, really good tips about essentially helping you master your macros. 3 really good tips there, 110%. Finish this episode and then go listen to that one as well. But the thing is, when it comes to our relationship with food, if we have been in a space of thinking good food and bad food for 10 years, it's going to take time. It's going to take accountability. It's going to take effort. And so there will be good days and bad days. And this is why I think it's so important to have an accountability group, have an accountability partner that's going to help you hold your head high on those hard days, because those days that are hard are the ones that we just want to throw in the towel. And the days that are good, we're like, I got this. I don't need any help. But the thing is, there are going to be a good and bad days. And this is actually one of those things where I really suggest giving yourself that heads up. There will be good and bad days, just like literally anything in life, but give yourself 6 weeks minimum of consistency, of pushing through those good and bad days. Well, you don't have to push through the good days, but pushing through those bad days, of when those days are bad, learning what it is in those days that you are struggling with so you can actually pinpoint those triggers and start to work on those triggers. I absolutely freaking love it when my clients, I don't love it that you're having a bad day, but I love when you're having a good day, but I don't love it when you're having a bad day, because obviously you aren't feeling good. And I am I hold other people's emotions. That's just something that's just the way that I am. I hold other people's emotions. I feel what they're feeling. I feel for them. I want to hug them. And I don't like when you're having a bad day because it doesn't feel good, but I like it because I can support you in learning and knowing what you are struggling with to help you get out of that space and to have less of those bad days. And also, or you could say, learn how to navigate those bad days so you can quickly move forward without having it completely ruin the day, okay? And so I really suggest giving yourself a minimum of 6 weeks. This is what I suggest for literally anyone, just a month and a half. It's literally just a month and a half, just 6 weeks, not a long time span. Being consistent, really pushing yourself through, okay? And if you are, actually, while I'm on the topic of this 6-week little comment here, let me also remind you, oh my gosh, wait a second. When this podcast episode goes live, ooh, let me pull it up. We have a fun announcement. I have a fun announcement. Okay, so when this podcast episode is going live, my 6-week challenge to help you master those macros and end the weekend start over cycle will be live. Enrollment will be open. I am so wildly excited. This is I have literally never done a program like this before. So it is a 6-week challenge to help you end the start over cycle when it comes to literally seeing progress, right? Literally what we're talking about here. And in this program, what I might do is actually pull up all of the details at the end. If you want to pull it up while I am talking, down at the very bottom of this episode in the show notes, there will be a link that will bring you to the page to learn all about what is included. But it is going to be so good because number one, macros, like having the actual proper macros is absolutely necessary. You'll basically be able to calculate your custom macros based on your individual goal. I've been working on this challenge for months. I'm very excited to actually finally release it, but you will have the ability to get your proper macros and make sure they are correct. So you have that solid foundation, and then we will be really digging deep. So you get a full on course included in this challenge. You have a full community, a private community solely for this challenge. It's so funny because I always have people who are like, can I get in? I'm like, yeah, if you're in the community, and they're like, wait, but I'm not in yet. And I'm like, right, but you have to get in. It's so funny, like random people, I have this for all of my programs, like random people will find it and like try and like get into it and like ask for like, they're inviting themselves in. There's like a whole toggle where you have to like admit people in. And I'm like, I don't know who you are, but come join us. Like, would love to have you. But it is a very private community where we'll be learning to master our macros and navigate those life events. You will actually get access to a full course that I am in the process of creating. At this moment, I'm recording this podcast episode early. So once you are enrolling, the course will be ready. But it will have all kinds of modules, which you will be able to see those when you go to the actual sales page for the program. It'll all be listed there. But learning how to track macros for food that doesn't have nutrition label, how to navigate things like potlucks where there are all kinds of food around and you're like, whoa, what do I do? How to navigate traveling, how to navigate the holidays, navigating so many different things. And then on top of that, I'm actually going to do a weekly audit. So you have the ability every single week, you can submit either a restaurant that you will be eating at that you don't know how to navigate or a life event that you'll be going to and you do not know how to navigate. I will be picking one person per week and I will actually be doing a full audit of how I would recommend going about this situation. And then I will be sharing it in the group. So you are actually able to, and I will share it anonymously. So I want everybody to benefit from, whatever the restaurant is or the life event. So I want everybody to benefit from this. So I will be sharing obviously I'm the one who's doing the audit, but I won't share who actually submitted it. And this allows you to really learn how to navigate these life events with ease, with the ultimate goal of after these 6 weeks that you are literally on track to reach those goals, whether that's fat loss, whether that's, healing your metabolism, whatever it may be. At that point, you will have mastered your macros and you can take those next steps in going into reaching those goals. Okay. Very, very excited about this. Sales page is down below in the show notes. Go ahead and click that and it will bring you and you can learn all the deets there. If you have questions for me, please just send me a DM. Not a problem at all. I am happy to chat in the DM, answer questions, all that good stuff. So very excited. Now, bringing us back to our episode here. If you are somebody who, bringing it back to like actually talking about what's happening on the weekend. Okay. So if you're digging deep into why you're getting off track in the weekend and you do already track your macros, but you're like, I have no earthly idea how to track food at restaurants with nutrition label. Say, for example, like your mom and pop coffee shop, they have a double chocolate chip muffin. And you're like, I don't know how to track this. You're like, ugh, I really, really want that muffin. So you say, shoot, I don't know how to track it, but I want it. I guess I'm just going to go ahead and get it. I'm going to get off track. And then all of a sudden I might as well keep going. The binge happens. And then you're starting over on Monday. All you need to do is learn how to track food that doesn't have a nutrition label. And that's actually something we will be doing in the challenge as well. And so it's really digging deep. I want you to really, really dig deep into what the actual problem is that's happening on the weekend. Here's another one. If you're digging deep, trying to figure out why you're getting off track on weekends and you're like, hey, I tend to go to other people's houses for meals. I don't know what they're going to be cooking. I don't know how to plan ahead for that. I get really overwhelmed with the variety of food and I end up off track. Great. We know your trigger. And we know that you now need to learn how to navigate those social settings where you're going to somebody else's house that they are preparing the food, okay? Again, also, I hate to do this, but this will also be covered in the 6-week challenge. I literally am covering like all of these things. When I created this episode, the notes for this, I actually didn't think that through. And I'm like, wait, as I'm like going through it, I'm like, wait a second, this is also in the challenge. Wait a second, this is also in the challenge. That's so funny. I'm very excited about it. So I have notes here. Oh, I talked about this a little bit earlier, but I really just want to cover it one more time. So I think in the past, and this is something I did in the past, but I think for a lot of people, we feel like we need to avoid those social settings and just avoid the problem altogether. So we can't eat out. We're saying no to certain things. We think that the solution is not traveling, not going to the holiday parties, et cetera, et cetera. The problem with this is we are literally just pushing the problem under the rug. Eventually that rug will need to come up. You will all of a sudden be in a social setting. You will be thrown on in there and you have quite literally no idea how to navigate those social events. And the problem is, you literally end up having no option to travel, to go on vacation, for the holidays to happen. We can't just stop the holidays. We can't tell everybody in the world, hey, please don't plan any holiday parties that have bad food. I can't navigate it. No, you're not learning how to navigate those social settings. You're not learning how to navigate the real world scenarios if we're just pushing the problem under the rug. And I did this for years on end. And I was like, why am I not seeing results? Why am I starting over? Why is this cycle repeating? And I'm like, wait a second. It's because I'm literally pushing the problem under the rug. I'm not actually finding the trigger and fixing that. So that is, one of the big things. And I also want to say, it is okay that you have not done this before. You don't know until you know. And I think that's one of the biggest perfectionists. I talked about this in the last episode. I'm a huge perfectionist. And I think in my mind, I'm like, man, when I was going through this process, it was like 10 years ago, but I'm like, man, why have I not seen results? And then I learned it's because I am pushing the problem under the rug, but I kicked myself and I kept beating myself. I'm like, I wish I knew that this was the problem years ago. But again, you don't know until you know. So give yourself the grace, give yourself and say, hey, I have been dieting for 10 years. I have been in a start over cycle for 20 years. I have been doing this and that, but that's okay. This is my chance to learn and grow. I now know, and I know that in order to see changes happen, we don't have to lower our quality of life. We don't have to say no to the social settings. We get to learn how to navigate those life events and raise our quality of life so we can see the results and have our cake and eat it too. So I am really excited to share all these things. I feel like I really just get too excited to record. I don't think there's such thing as too excited, but golly, feel like I could talk for absolute days on all of these topics. And I get really excited to share this because so many of you amazing women listen to my podcast and are like, wait, this is so helpful. Wait, you're in my head. And I'm like, I know, I wish I could give you a bear hug in person. And I just get really excited. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. Next week, we are going to be diving deep. Let me pull it up for you. So we are going to be diving deep into breaking the all or nothing mindset. It is going to be a good one. It is going to be a really good one. I'm about to record this one, and then for you, it'll be going live the following week, but it's going to be so good. I can't wait. So with all this, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please never hesitate to reach out if you have any questions for me, and I will see you in next week's episode. Bye, my beautiful peach.